Welcome to twoquestions.tv. With me today is Julie Cantor, an inspiring woman in business. Welcome to twoquestions.tv. I'm Susan Baroncini-Moe. Joining me today is another one of our inspiring women in business. Julie Cantor is a high-powered attorney who holds both a law and a medical degree, and she recognized a need for women in business as she shuttled reams of files to and from court, which sparked the inspiration to create Harlen, the world's only luxury work bag line. Hi, Julie. Welcome to the show.
Hi, Susan. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
I am so happy to have you as one of our inspiring women in business. Talk to me about your journey. Where did you start?
I started at a law firm, exactly what you said. I had graduated from medical school and I was kind of ready to join the workplace. And I was on these amazing cases where I wanted to keep working on them. So I would bring home books and journals and all of these kinds of things with me. And it just sort of came to be a lot. And I tried to find a really great bag. And I found a great tote, but then the bottom started sagging because it was so heavy. And I found a wheelie bag, but it was too small. And the one that was really big just didn't kind of have any style to it. So I thought, man, I wish I could find something that kind of merged all of the utilitarian functions that you really need with some style, even just a little style, like just something that you can put your own signature on and have it work in a conservative environment or a really funky environment, something that kind of goes all over the place. So the idea came to me, and actually also being a doctor and having that medical background, I read an article in the New York Times about how women carry so much stuff in their bags, like me.
Yeah.
You start to get neck pain and shoulder problems and spinal issues. So I thought, well, if we could just make a really terrific, awesome rolling bag, maybe there'd be some people who fit into that category, whether they're working in any kind of environment where that's an office or not, but they would just have that as their go-to so they can spend most of the time wheeling it around as opposed to having to carry it. So those ideas came to me, and then I thought, well, I would love to just do this locally to support the community and to figure out how I can do it. And I can be, obviously I live in the LA area, so I can be here more easily than anywhere else. Right. So I tried to do that locally, and the complexity of these bags and the materials that I sourced, and the level of meticulousness and handcrafted artisanship. And I just wanted it to be really deserving of these amazing women who would carry them and wheel them. So I ended up going to Italy, and that was kind of an amazing trek and a journey and a chapter in terms of being able to figure this out and really put it together.
Italy's always a magical trip.
Yeah, it's so great.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess if you have to go somewhere, it's not a bad place to go. So.
Darn, I have to go to Italy to source some materials for this video. Oh, well, I'll go.
Oh, Italy. Yeah. So definitely not complaining. Could have been a lot worse. Sure. So yeah, there's no complaints there, but it was definitely a labor of love. And I'm so proud of what our artisans have crafted and what we've created, together as this international team of artisans, designers, firms that make, you wouldn't think that there's a family that for 40 years has been focused entirely on zippers. And they make what I consider to be the world's best zippers. And then they even within that have the top of their line. So we use the top of the line of the world's best zippers. So they have both that functionality, they're not going to let you down, and they're just like, wow, those are awesome. So we kind of hit the sweet spot there.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Are there other stories like that? Little pieces of
gosh. There are just, endless stories. I mean, one that I like to tell people, some people ask, why didn't you name the line after yourself? And I thought, I don't know, I guess I could have done that. It just didn't I thought it would be more interesting to name it after somebody else. And so I ended up naming the line after my grandparents, Harriet and Lenny, my maternal grandparents, who have an amazing story of style and being kind of standouts. My grandmother always had an interesting red carpet and black and white furniture. And she was very like, I don't care if anybody, I don't need people to like it. I just like it. And that was really kind of inspiring to me to just be there and be who you want to be. And my grandfather, and she always worked, by the way, and my grandfather started a girls softball and basketball league, a sports league on Long Island where they lived in, the 50s and the 60s. And I asked him once, I said, why did you do that? We're in a moment now where women's empowerment is, everybody's on board, and it's obviously something that needs to be addressed around the world.
But it wasn't then.
No, this was 1958. And I said to him, where did you get this idea? And he had 2 daughters, one of the daughters being my mother. And he said, there wasn't anything for the girls. And I didn't think it was fair.
Oh,
so
yay, Grandpa. Nice.
We have, this certificate that he got, this certificate of merit for founding this. So I thought that was really inspirational, and to channel their emphasis on education and equality and style all at the same time made good sense. So that's a little bit of the story behind the brand. And the other thing is that these bags come together in such an amazing way. They are put together at one of the finest ateliers really in Italy. It's in the north. And when I visited there, you see everybody who comes through there in terms of labels, and I can just tell you, it's top of the top there. I'm so fortunate to have them work with us. It's really quite unbelievable. But each bag has so many different parts to it that there are different ateliers that create the hardware, that create the zippers. The zipper pull is a custom patented pull that I created with a team in both Italy and here. So everything has a story and a richness to it. And if you can imagine for a second, me driving around Italy in my, one of those small European cars, which they're great, so efficient, but, driving around with multiple GPSs, trying to figure out where I'm going, very broken Italian, and having to make like a million U-turns on this one street called Leonardo da Vinci Street, because that's where I was supposed to be. But it turns out there were like 5 Leonardo da Vinci streets in this one town, and I couldn't find the right one. So I'm like making these U-turns on these tiny, little mountainside roads, and I'm thinking, I'm going to fall off. I'm going to fall off the mountain, and that's going to be, somebody will find me and be like, she tried to make these career pieces and found her on the side of the mountain in Italy. I thought, well, at least I gave it my all. So, but lots of stories like that. And the people that I met in Italy and the people that we work with are just these really amazing families who've been doing what they do, like plating in palladium, just a piece of something for literally generations. So you get all of that history and all of that artisanship in a Harlen, and we're so proud of that.
That is really cool. So one of the things I like to ask our inspiring women in business is, what advice do you have for women who want to start their own business and who are in the process of starting their own business?
Keep going. That would be one, because there are a lot of turns, and I wouldn't say obstacles, but there's a lot of definitely maneuvering. So you have to be kind of nimble in that, and always be willing to kind of revise an idea and think about, okay, well, I can't, I know sort of generally where I want to go. So how am I going to get there? We have to navigate and think about the new situations. And so much of it is, having that really positive energy and focusing on those goals, and also really putting energy into the relationships that you make along the way. One example of that is I went to a trade show a number of years ago, and I met this lovely family that makes parts for luggage. And I kind of kept them in the back of my mind and sort of worked with them a little bit. And then at one point in this journey, we had a Skype, actually, And I showed them my prototypes. I said, I'm trying to do this. And they said, oh, okay, well, you know what? If we could make the interiors for that, and we could make this part, and then our colleagues down the road could do this. And so it was a lot of, connecting with people and being open to, just sharing those ideas with people, and being lucky enough to have them want to be part of that vision.
That's amazing. So bonus question. So do you still practice law, or is the Harlen is your thing? Is it a side gig? How does it all work together?
It's a great question. No, Harlen is my thing, and it's a full-time situation, but I have been fortunate enough to be a member of the adjunct faculty at UCLA Law School for a number of years, like since 2005, with a short hiatus in there as well. So I've been doing that just to have a little bit of a different outlet, to use different parts of my brain. And I taught in the fall a course on health law and policy. And I have taught, and this semester I'm teaching reproductive rights, medical ethics, and the law. And those tap into lots of legal work that I've done in the past, whether it's writing amicus briefs or representing clients in court or working on expert work, just a lot of things that I have in my back pocket that I can draw from and bring to bear on those topics. And, with those topics, I've also been able to present from time to time to doctors about issues in law and medicine. So I do what's called grand rounds, and I'm always carrying a Harlen or rolling a Harlen. It's what you need to do these kinds of engagements. So I have that, and then I do my presentations, and it's so much fun to talk with doctors about what they're doing and to be able to navigate some of these legal issues with them. It's really, I feel like I'm a little bit of, a navigator, and I can sort of think, oh, okay, well, here's an idea, and you can present that to them, and they can consider how that would work in their clinical practice. So between that, I'm really tapped out. That's enough.
Yeah, I was going to say that is a lot, but it sounds like it's kind of fun on both sides.
Yeah, and you know what? I think maybe for people who are really entrepreneurial at heart, they're always thinking creatively, they're always seeing another angle, that it might be good to have that, kind of nurture your Renaissance soul, rather than, berate yourself like, how come I'm not just this? Just embrace it and say, okay, well, this is me, and I have different interests, and sometimes they all kind of overlap in my life. They're all sort of thematic, but there are people who do completely different things, like they, surf and then they're a dentist or whatever.
Right.
And I think it's important, especially now, with it's such a fast news cycle, and it's overwhelming, to be able to really nurture all of those parts of yourself, or at least some of them, and to be able to say, okay, I'm going to accept my, Renaissance self, and just be able to figure out how I can nurture that, and how I can divide my day to hit those marks, or how I can divide my week if it's not possible to do things every day in all of those spheres. So that's kind of what I think is, instead of having that voice say, why can't you focus more? I try to be more positive and say, okay, well, right now I'm going to focus on this, and that's Harlen, and then this piece of it I'm going to schedule, to do a talk in April or something like that. So I'll be, giving grand rounds in April to a pediatrics a department. So it's, things like that I think lots of people do, and I think it's just the world we live in now, where we're not kind of lockstep for 30 years and then you get a gold watch. So you just have to embrace who you are and be kind to yourself and along the way.
I love that, because I do multiple things, and I think it is, and it is looking for those kind of what I call pockets of passion, and finding where are you in that pocket, and what parts of your life are the most important to you, and finding ways to balance those so you get to do all the things you want. And you're absolutely right. I had that same conversation with myself about, why am I not like everyone else? And there was a day when I went, I don't have to be. It's fine. I'm good.
Yeah, you're totally good. And I remember, I think it might have been like, maybe Maria Shriver said something like, you can't do absolutely everything at the same time. And there's
Right.
something very wise about that, you definitely can do a couple of things, but maybe you can't do your whole bucket list or your wish
Yeah.
list.
Yeah.
And give yourself a break that, you're doing the best you can and you're doing things as well as you can possibly do them.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Julie, thank you for joining me today. It's been a pleasure.
Susan, it was so much fun. I hope to see you again soon.
I agree. We will have to get together in LA and
I would love that.
see what we can see.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on your program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Viewers, there will be a link to Julie's website in the show notes for today down below. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.